Alrighty guys, what is going up? I hope you guys are all having a great and an amazing day today. Now in today's episode, we're going to be talking about ARK Invest. We're going to be breaking down all the ETFs and all the index funds that ARK Invest has. We're going to be breaking down, should you invest in them? Is it a good idea? Expense ratios, pretty much everything you guys need to understand before investing in them. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them down below. Also, if you guys want to sign up with Mumu, you guys can literally get a free stock just by signing up. That'll be the first link down below. So now let's jump into it, roll the intro. Let's go. So ARK Invest is managed by Cathie Wood. She is a super strong believer in Tesla and a lot of innovative technologies. So a lot of these ETFs and a lot of these index funds are going to be heavily involved in those stocks. So the very first ETF that they do have is ticker symbol ARKK. This is ARK Innovation. The second one they do have is ticker symbol ARKQ. This is autonomous tech and robotics. The third one is ARKW. This is the next generation ETF. The next one they have is ARKG. This is ARK Geometrics Revolution. The next one they have is ARKF. This is ARK FinTech Innovation. And they do have really two very popular index funds. The very first one is mostly designed for 3D printing, ticker symbol PRNT. And then the second index fund they do have is Israel Innovative Tech, ticker symbol IZRL. So now let's actually break down all the expense ratios. Let's talk about performance, what you guys need to know before investing in them. So the very first one is ARK Innovations ETF. Now this one's going to be kind of a combination of all of the ones that I just mentioned. So this is one that if you just want to invest in ARK, this would be probably the best all-around ETF to get into. So now let's talk about performance. Now the year to date for this ETF is around 42%, which is absolutely crazy. And what's even crazier is the past 3 months, this ETF has gone up around 61%. So obviously this is beating the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, and the NASDAQ. But why is it going up so much? What are the top 3 holdings of this ETF? So the very first one is Tesla. The manager, Cathie Wood, is a very strong believer in this company. So, you know, coming in at around 10% of this ETF is actually Tesla. So you guys can see why she's a very strong believer in it. So the second one here is Square, ticker symbol SQ. This is a very popular and a very futuristic banking and online payment system. And a lot of small business owners actually have Square. I'm sure you guys know the touchscreen, or you guys know the Cash App. They are both owned by the same company. And she also has a ton of Roku and a ton of other very popular stocks that involve tech and, you know, futuristic ideas. So this ETF has around $4.8 billion in total assets, and the expense ratio for this is actually under my 1% rule, coming in at 0.75. So honestly, this is looking like a very good, strong ETF to get into. Now, would I go ahead and invest tons of money in it? No, I would invest maybe 5 to 10% of the amount you normally would invest. I do still think the S&P 500 is probably the best investment anybody can make. You get paid a solid dividend, you get growth, you get, you know, it's been around for longer. So now the second one is ticker symbol ARKQ. This is ARK Autonomous Driving and Robotics ETF. So this is really focused on transportation, robotics, 3D printing a little bit, energy storage, and space exploration. So if you guys are actually believers in that, this may be the ETF for you. The performance for this ETF is pretty decent, with the year to date coming in at around 27%. In the past 3 months, it's actually up 42%. So this is a pretty good stock, but why is it going up? What are the holdings? Coming in at number 1 is the one and only Tesla. She's a huge believer in this company. So that makes up around 10% of this ETF. Number 2 here, it looks like it is 2U Incorporated. I don't even know some of these other ones. I do think they are mostly robotics and, you know, autonomous driving companies. So the net assets is only around $317 million, with the expense ratio coming in at 0.75. So this one I would not go heavy in, but, you know, maybe something to dip your toes in here and there. So now coming in at number 3 here, we have ticker symbol ARKW. This is next generation internet ETF. So we're going to be talking about a ton of giants. This is really going to make up, you know, cloud computing. This is going to make up e-commerce, big data, artificial intelligence, and a ton of other ones. So the performance for this ETF is pretty strong here, with the 3 months coming in at 60%, the year to date coming at 47%. So honestly, this ETF is actually performing better than the ARKK ETF. So this may be one that, you know, may look a little better. With the top 3 holdings, number 1 is Tesla. I'm telling you right now, she's a huge Tesla fan. Number 2 is Roku. Number 3 is Square. So these are all very, very popular companies. So the net assets under watch is $1.3 billion, with the expense ratio coming in a little higher than all the other ones with 0.76%. So it is just a little higher, but still definitely one to get into. Now the 4th one is ticker symbol ARKG. This is ARK Geometrics ETF. This is definitely one that I would keep a heavily eye on due to this whole kind of pandemic we're in. ARK Geometrics is really focused in on stem cells and a lot of other health sectors. So this one I do think is a good one to look at, just because kind of everything going on with the whole economy, you know, with coronavirus, with this pandemic, this may be one to definitely keep an eye on. So the performance for this ETF is way larger than any other ETF. And I do think this is because of everything going on. With the 3 months performance coming in at around 66%, the year to date coming at 55%. So what are the holdings of this ETF? So the top holding for this is ticker symbol CRSP, coming in at around 11%. The second one here is ticker symbol NVTA. The third holding they do have is ticker symbol ARKT. Now a lot of these are going to be companies that honestly you and I have never heard of, and they do fall in that health sector, and with everything going on, this is definitely one to keep an eye on. So the total assets they have under watch for this ETF is coming in at around $1.7 billion, with the expense ratio coming in at around 0.75%. So that's the average expense ratio for a lot of these. So the last and final ETF they do have is ticker symbol ARKF, also known as ARK Fintech Innovation. So this one follows like those blockchain, and they do have a lot of other very cool things such as transaction innovations. They do have risk transformations. They do have a lot of other ones. So the performance for this one is a little weaker than a lot of the other ones, with the 3-month performance coming in at around 55% and the year-to-date coming in at around 31%. So it's not as strong as a lot of the other ones, but it's honestly one to kind of dip your toes in, is what I always say. So the top holding that you do have for this ETF is Square. Square definitely falls in that blockchain field. The second holding they do have is ticker symbol MELI. And then the third and final holding they do have is Zillow. So the assets under watch for this ETF is around $221 million. And the expense ratio is actually the same as all the other ones, is 0.75. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on. So now we're actually going to talk about the index funds they do have. So the very first index fund ARK has is ticker symbol PRNT. This is a 3D printing ETF. Me personally, I do think that 3D printing is going to be a top growing sector, and this one is maybe one to dip your toes in. With the 3 months performance coming in at around 21%, but the one that's lacking is the year to date. This is down 3.6%, so maybe this is one that may be a little undervalued, but honestly it's one to kind of, you know, dip your toes in. And the expense ratio for this is a lot lower than all the other ones, with 0.66%, and the total assets under watch is only $37 million. So honestly, it's one that's kind of good to keep an eye on, but I would not go heavily in this ETF. So the second and final index fund that ARK has is Israel Innovative Tech. Now this one is actually pretty solid index fund to keep an eye on. It's ticker symbol IZRL. So what is the performance for this? With the 3 months performance coming in at around 36% and the year to date coming in at around 6.78%, this is one that's kind of looking like it follows like the S&P 500. But this index fund really honestly follows healthcare, biotech, manufacturing, internet, and information technology. So it is not the S&P 500, but it is a lot of the top growing sectors to keep an eye on. So the assets under watch is around $4.5 million, and the expense ratio is the lowest one that ARK has, with around 0.49%. So this is definitely one that could be one to dip your toes in a little more than a lot of the other ones. So that is it though. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and the top ETF that I would recommend investing in if you guys are going to invest in ARK is ticker symbol ARKK. This one is kind of like the broad horizon. This is like investing in the S&P 500, but you guys want to be a little more risky with it and invest in more technology. You guys want to invest in blockchain, kind of ARKK, ARK Invest, ARK Innovative is the ETF to get into. Yes, the expense ratio is a lot higher than, you know, investing in the S&P 500, but this is more of a futuristic ETF. And I do think looking back at it in around 10 to 15 years, we're going to realize, well, we could have got in on this ETF at 80 bucks. Maybe now it's $500 or $600. So that is it though. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. And if you guys did, make sure you guys smash the like button. We'll see you guys tomorrow in another episode. Remember to stay happy, stay positive, and overall stay safe out there. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bam.